So Fortnite has had a ton of seasons over the years, and some of them are bound to be overrated. So in this video, I want to go over the 5 most overrated seasons in Fortnite history. Now this video will not be in any specific order or anything. It's not like the first thing I go over is less overrated than the final thing I talk about. But before we get into it, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to help me reach 6,000 subs by the end of the year. Now without further delay, let's get into it. The first season I want to talk about is the season that's probably the most overrated in history, and that's Chapter 4 Season 2. And I swear, one day people are from saying this is mid and even bad to saying that's one of the best seasons ever. And that's just not the case. I don't know where the sudden shift was, but I never hated the season or anything, but it's not like I loved it or anything. To me, it was a nice 7 out of 10, maybe an 8 on a good day. But I've seen some people say it's the top 3 season of all time when I just can't see where they got that opinion from. And to be honest, the entirety of Chapter 4 has got this exact same thing happen to it. People are from hating it and calling it the worst thing ever to saying it's the best thing that ever happened to Fortnite when it's just not true. And I didn't hate Chapter 4 or anything, but it for sure isn't the best chapter of all time that some people are trying to say. Now, Chapter 4 Season 2 had some good things about it, like the kinetic blade, which was one of my favorite melee items of all time. Like, I love how you could use it for fighting and mobility and how useful it was. I also like the introduction of the floating island mechanic and the capture point that gave the legendary slip juice and the overclock pulse rifle. Grind row was also a cool addition to same with the Attack on Titan mythics. But there were also some items like the lock on pistol that was a good idea, but they were just executed horribly, and the gun was just really bad. The Havoc AR also wasn't very good AR, but I did like the Havoc pump. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was cool, and I like how I added back to the 200 pump with the mythic one. The map changes look cool, and the entire teal Japan biome was like amazing. But now I want to talk about the most overglazed part of the season, and that's Mega City. Now don't get me wrong, it looks very cool from the outside, but the second you step foot into it, you realize how it's just a shell of a location. You can't enter any of the skyscrapers, none of them. You cannot go inside. So the entire location is just a shell. So it only looks cool. That's literally it. I don't know what kind of hypnotism spell Epic put into people's brains to make them forget this, but it just made the location horrible to play in. Naughtiness was cool. I guess I didn't really care for it at all or land there because it was pretty out of the way. Steamy Springs was a good location and literally the only good run added this season. And the healing water was good as well. The combat caches were also a good addition, and the new Spider-Man mythics were cool, but they just felt way worse than the originals for some reason. I don't know if they changed anything at all, but it just felt worse to use. And the storyline was trash, but that's the case for all the Chapter 4 seasons. Now again, I didn't hate this season or anything, but it just isn't top 5 or top 10 like at all, and it's very overrated. Now the next season on the list is Chapter 4 Season 4, and this is another season that I enjoyed, but people are just overglazing it for some reason. I've seen some people say it's top 5 season or even top 10 when it's just nowhere near that. I say this is an 8 out of 10. It was a great season, but like top 20 to 15 seasons. The theme of the season was cool with the whole heist theme, and I like how some of the old mythics got brought back from the vaults with the Midas' drum gun and Chimera rig and all those. But the storyline this season with Kato Thorn was just so extremely wasted. But I like what they added to the game, the way the vaults were protected with the lasers and the way the alarm would go off if you took a weapon. And it just felt very cool, like an actual heist. The map changes were also good, and I like how spread out they were, but I don't like how they were all pretty much a copy paste of each other. Like, they all had the same vibe, and if you showed me a screenshot of one of them, they would look like the exact same thing. The Twin Mag AR was good, the Infiltrator was alright, the Scope Burst SMG was a decent SMG, I guess. The Rocket Ram was amazing. Like, I love this item. It was great for mobility, and I love landing on people with it. It was very fun. The business charts were also great, and I like how I could use them as like a distraction to give you the edge in a fight. The Forecast Towers are also a cool mechanic as well. The new lightsabers with the Force powers are also amazing, and the Force throw ability, which is amazing too. The Fortnite was good, but nothing too crazy. Now again, I did enjoy this season, but I didn't really feel enough out of it for these outrageous claims people to make to be true. Like, it wasn't a bad season or anything, but it just isn't top 10 material. The map changes were a big issue as well with the copy paste problem, and I feel like having distinct locations is very important for a season, and this just didn't have it. The base loophole with the main normal guns like shotguns and SMGs were just mid. Like, the normal weapons just didn't stand out in any real way, and the only items I liked were the unique ones. Like, I feel like having a good base loophole was a must for a season to be peak, but the different unique items that we got were amazing. So still a pretty great season. The next season is Chapter 2 Season 5, and this is the first season that I say I don't really like. I give it like a 6 out of 10, a 7 at most. Now because I really enjoyed most seasons, that puts it at like bottom 5 season for me, but it still had some good qualities. But I see people saying that's an underrated season for some reason, and that's actually top 10, but that's just not the case at all. Like, it wasn't talked about for a very good reason until people would one day decide it was underrated. The new desert biome added was pretty good, and I'd say the sand here looks better than the one from Season 5, but the Paradise Palm one is still better because locations, but for the sand itself, it's better. The 0 point being in the center of the map was really cool, and it looked amazing. I like how going through would play a cool animation and get heal you. Colossal Coliseum looked pretty cool, but it wasn't a very good place to land at because the whole like inside of the building was very confusing to navigate, and it didn't have enough loot to be worth the trouble. Hunter's Haven was a nice solid location. I liked all the hunters having their own different rooms. Stealthy Stronghold was alright. I liked the Predator boss there, even though his mythic was trash, but he was fun to fight. The Mando boss was also fun to fight, and he actually had good loot with his sniper and the jetpack. Butterbomb was a good landmark, and the music there was hype. Salty Towers wasn't very good at all. It was a weird mishmash between Salty and Tilted, which just didn't turn out right, so I wouldn't really go there that much. The sand tunneling was a very cool mechanic, and I really liked it. Unfortunately, it was only in the game for 2 weeks in total. The 0-point crystals were fun, consumable, and kind of useful. The Dragon Breath shotgun was horrendous. It was just really bad. The exotics were added this season, but most of them weren't very good, like the Boom Sniper and the Nighthawk, but some of them were good, like the Dub and the Slurp Cannon. And the NPCs and gold were also added this season, which was a very amazing mechanic. The exotics were extremely overpriced though. The lever action rifle was bad. The lever shotgun was decent. This season had the worst Winterfest of all time. Absolutely massacred my goat, the X4 Stormwing, by adding fuel to it. And what's with a modern epic with adding fuel and durability to everything? It just makes the game less fun. But anyways, the season also had Mando's Bounty and the Bodyguard LTMs, which were very fun to play in. The story of the season was also very good. I liked the Jonesy reality logs, but sadly none of the collabs added anything to the game. And this was during the time where Epic prioritized collabs over the gameplay, and it really showed. As you guys just heard, I really don't like most of the things added this season, but there are some things that I did like. Same with every single season. I don't think any season is absolutely trash. Like, even my least favorite season of all time, Chapter 4 Season 3, had the JJK update, which I did like. The next season is Chapter 3 Season 3, and this is my second least favorite season of all time. I don't know why some people are so fond of it. The Reality Tree biome, I think, is one of the best biomes we ever gotten. It just looks very amazing, and the Reality Tree is beautiful as well. The Healing Mushrooms are also very cool. The Indiana Jones location was mid, and the different reality changing locations that would swap each game were also cool. The 2-shot shotgun was alright, same with the hammer AR, and they absolutely massacred my goat the baller with the energy that couldn't be recharged. The grapple glove was also a great mobility item. The Repsol launcher was fun but not very useful. The Darth Vader lightsaber just had the worst force ability by far with the horrendous throw ability. The summer event was one of the worst we ever gotten, but the ice cream they added was fun and consumable. The Dragon Ball mythics were genuinely peak. Like, I love the Kamehameha and the Nimbus Cloud mythics. They were like amazing, and that whole update had me really enjoying the season. And like I said, every single season has something redeemable about it, but I still really don't like this season. But the final season I want to talk about is probably the most controversial one, and that's Chapter 5 Season 1. And this isn't the most overrated one here, but it is the one that people love the most. So me even having it here is a bit controversial. Now don't get me wrong, I love the season. Like, it was great. But I see way too many people saying that it's top 5, top 3 season and that's safe Fortnite, and how it was peak this, peak that, when it was just a great season, but not peak. The Chapter 5 map was great. I loved how it had so much snow on it before they melted for some reason, but when it was there, I really liked it. And the map was pretty bland, but that's just because it was a Season 1, so it didn't really have a theme, and there were all like basic biomes, like the grassland and snow, but it was still good for what it was. The medallions as a feature was just amazing. I love how strong these were. The weapon mods were very wasted and the most useless thing ever. Like, the only things that were noticeable were the scopes. The 2 new ARs were good, same with the shotguns, and I mean, all the new weapons were great, so it had a very strong loot pool. The Winterfest wasn't very good. It was pretty bad if I'm being honest. The Ninja Turtle update was great as well, and the entire season was just great and well balanced, but I don't think it took enough risks to make it like top 10 seasons. It just played it very safe with no real theme or anything, and it made for great gameplay, yes, but like my favorite seasons of all time have like a lot of risks in them. Like Chapters 2 Season 7 took a lot of risks with the alien invasion and UFOs, energy items that would vaporize it through builds and stuff. The Season X had the crazy map changes that had different effects in each location, and Chapter 2 Season 2 had like bosses and hostile NPCs added, the new mythics, and a ton of locations, but Chapter 5 Season 1 played it way too safe to get in with the goats. But it was still great and a great season in its own right. But that's the end of my video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe to help me reach 6,000 subs by the end of the year. Also, comment on the video in the future. And lastly, Cash Henry has as much money you can get, but let's not find me. Goodbye.